what it is, what's happening YouTube, it's your boy Srtfied, and I'm back with another banger for you guys. Y'all already know what's up. If you're not a subscriber to this channel yet, what I always tell you guys, go and smash that subscribe button. You know why? Because it don't cost me nothing, it don't cost you nothing. Just click that red button for me. And if it's your first time on this channel, welcome to Srtfied Official. But as you guys already seen in the thumbnail, we're gonna go ahead and get an oil change done on this bad boy right here. If you don't know, this is a 2022 Ford Bronco Wildtrak. I call it my Wildling. She has the 2.7 liter twin turbo V6, and I got around 13,000 miles on this thing right now. And yeah, it's time for an oil change, so let's get into it. And for starters, just want to show you guys real quick the type of motor oil that I'm using. It is from Surma. I know some people may not have heard of this. I did a Surma engine treatment. I did it on my last vehicle and I noticed a difference. And I actually did it on this vehicle. And I will say I didn't notice a difference this time. This was a brand new vehicle, so well, almost brand new vehicle. But yeah, I didn't notice a difference this time, but hey, why not try it in case it does help out in the long run. But Surma does recommend using their motor oil in order to, you know, continue with the cleaning properties that the treatment offers. So this is the motor oil that I'm using. It is a synthetic motor oil, as y'all can see right here. Just a standard oil filter that I got from AutoZone. And one of the most important parts right here, which you guys will see here shortly in the video, is the oil drain plug, actually, because the oil drain plug on these Broncos are plastic. Can't show it to you right now, but I'll show it to you in a second. But it's plastic, and Ford recommends that you replace it, you know, at each oil change. Well, this right here, you don't have to replace at each oil change because it comes with its own drain plug right here. All right, so you install this piece, and then this piece goes into the front of it in order to actually drain the oil itself when it's time to do an oil change. So if you guys aren't into doing your own oil changes, then this piece right here isn't necessary, but I recommend it because it does come with a magnetic tip to where if you have any type of metals in your oil, shavings, anything like that, this would actually catch it. So even though you're not removing this every time you're doing an oil change, it will be good to, you know, inspect it every time you do an oil change. So, and of course, got an oil pan and, you know, my other tools, but let's go ahead and get this thing going. All right, so first things first, we're gonna take a 15mm socket and extension, and we're gonna take off the shielding underneath that you need to remove in order to get access to the drain plug. It's 4 bolts underneath that I'll show you right now. As you guys can see, right here, you have one right here, you have one on the other side, and then you have 2 in the back on each side. All right, this pan right here is the one that you have to remove. Once you remove those screws, you just tilt it down and then slide it towards the back, and it drops right out. All right, so as you're underneath, once the shielding is removed, right in front of this cross member facing the passenger side of the vehicle, this is where your drain plug is. All right, so literally all you have to do is get a set of pliers, or if you can do it by hand, twist it off and the oil will start draining. But before we do that, there's a couple of extra steps that we have to do in order for this to make sure that you drain as much oil as possible and that it drains a little bit faster. All right, the first step that I recommend doing is removing the oil cap. Right here, just twist this off and then lift it up. Set this in a place that you're not going to lose it. I'll put everything right there in the oil pan. And then I would recommend removing your oil filter, which this is where your oil filter is located at. In order to do so, you need a 27mm socket. All right, you literally just put this on top and you twist it off and you remove the filter. So this is what it looks like when you actually remove the filter housing. Your filter will still be right there, but you can easily just pull that out. I'd recommend getting some kind of rag or something to make sure that you catch as many drippings so you're not making a mess. But this is what it looks like when you do change your oil. When you get your new oil filter right here, make sure that it has the appropriate O-rings in it, all right, because there are 2 O-rings right here that you have to replace, and then there's one right here on the top. All right, so let's go ahead and pull this filter out. Let me set this down right here, and let's put a rag down. Make sure we don't get any extra drippings. So just slowly pull up. Boom. See, just caught a few drippings. This thing looks nasty, y'all. Ugh. So just to add it, step, I like to wipe out the surroundings of where the oil filter actually goes in, just to have a clean slate for the new filter. Now this next step that I'm going to do is only for people who have catch cans installed in their Broncos. As you guys saw in my previous video, I have the Mishimoto dual catch can system. So this is the perfect time for you guys to remove those cans and dump those cans and reinstall them to make sure that everything's good to go. But I always dump those between each of my oil changes. So if you have a catch can installed, this is the perfect time to do so. But if you don't have them installed, your next step is going to be actually going underneath and pulling that drain plug. Once it's done dripping, make sure you put that drain plug back in before you do anything else, because you don't want to do a mistake to where you forget to put that drain plug back in, you start adding oil and everything starts spilling out of the bottom. One of the things that I like to be very transparent on my channel. As you guys can see, I have napkins and stuff like this around. This drain pan right here, I guess the holes where the oil drains in, there were only 2 holes in there. I should have, I guess, drilled out a bigger hole to where when that oil starts draining out, it doesn't overflow on the pan before it starts going into the actual reservoir. So just a quick note, if you guys are trying to do this yourself, make sure you have enough space for the oil to get into, because that oil rushes out pretty quick. All right, so while I'm waiting on the system to finish draining, I'm gonna go ahead and prep the filter housing with the new O-rings. As you guys see right here, new filter, old filter. Don't worry about the mess. I'm gonna clean that up before I reinstall the pan. But yeah, let's go ahead and get these O-rings installed. And as you guys see, new O-rings are installed. I did struggle with this one a little bit, but I use a pick tool to kind of help me out with it. I kind of put it in the groove right here and then kind of stretch it over just a little bit. You don't want to go crazy on it and end up breaking it. But yeah, new filters are installed. There's obviously residual oil left in here. I'll just use that to kind of lubricate the O-rings before you install the actual new filter. So let's go ahead and get this filter housing and filter installed. Go ahead and slide this bad boy in right here like it was. And then actually I did that in reverse. See, let me go ahead and take this out, slide this bad boy in here as such. Boom. I know y'all were about to roast me in the comments. You did it wrong. And then you just go upside down, boom, and twist it down. Filter housing and filter is installed. Go ahead and wipe off any residual that you have. One of the things that I noted that I actually didn't do is you see these marks right here. Apparently the previous owner or the dealership or whoever had it did the oil change before I got the vehicle, ended up using the wrong socket on this. So just make sure you guys have the right socket, because otherwise that will happen to you. I don't think that part will be too expensive to replace, but nonetheless, you definitely don't want to strip this. All right, so there are torque specs for this, which I do not have and cannot remember off the top of my head right now. I'll make sure to post it in the video description, but generally I go until it gets tight and then just a little bit past snug. I don't want to over tighten this right here. All right, so now all I got to do is install the drain plug. So this is the drain plug that I got from Amazon. This is the RONIN brand. As you guys see, it is a 3-part system. All right, so it comes with this little metal O-ring right here, as you guys see right here. But you literally install this. This is identical to what your factory drain plug looks like. Very identical. So you install this piece, which has the drain port right here, and this drain port gets engaged when you install the actual drain piece right here. All right, so this screws into the back of this to engage the port in order for the oil to drain out of this. So this doesn't get installed initially. This only gets installed when you're actually doing an oil change. All right, so you want to install this first, and then the cap, that's a protective cap that goes over it. So because it's my first time installing this, I'm only going to install this piece initially. Once I fill the system up, I'm going to inspect this drain plug right here to make sure there's no oil coming out of this, because you know, I just want to make sure that it works, and then I'm going to install the cap. But if everything works as advertised, once I put this in and I fill the system up, nothing should come out of this. As you guys can see, that drain port is or plug is installed. That is without the cap currently. And yeah, let's get this thing filled up. But before we do, this was what I was talking about with the drain pan. These little holes right here, just wasn't enough space for it to get into the actual reservoir, and it started like overflowing on itself. So I made a small little mess in here, which I get some kitty litter to actually clean that stuff up. So make sure you guys have a good drain pan. But let's go ahead and put 7 quarts in here, because that is what's recommended for the 2.7 liter V6. So before we prime the motor and actually get the oil cycled through the system and start the actual motor after that, it's always a good practice to check and make sure that you have enough oil in here before you do so. And we do. So let's go ahead and get the motor primed and make sure that we get some oil fluid in the necessary parts before we start the motor. All right, so before we get to priming this motor, don't forget to install your cap right here. But I also want to check underneath, because we just filled the system up. Let's see how this new drain plug is holding up, to see if I have any mess under here. And as you guys can see, let me get the camera to focus on this thing. It is dry. I don't have any leaks. So I can go ahead and install this cap. This cap right here. It's like a dust cap. This thing is really easy to install. Literally, once you put the piece in, it literally pops in place, like it clicks. Like as you spin it, it twists down, and then you can hear it click. Once it's clicked on, it's on there, like it's not coming off. So this little dust cap right here, boom. So in future oil changes, I don't have to consistently replace this oil filter plug right here. Well, sorry, not the oil filter plug. I don't know what I'm talking about. The drain plug. All right, so to prime the motor, this Bronco right here, well, the 2.7 liter is equipped with a feature called flat foot crank. So what you have to do is depress the gas pedal and brake pedal all the way down at the same time, and then you press the ignition. Do not let off. What it does a full starter cycle and it primes the motor. After it gets done with the full starter cycle, then start the motor, and I would say let it run for about 5 to 10 minutes and then check your oil levels to make sure that you're good to go. All right, let's get in here. Let's go all the way down on both pedals. And that is it. At that point, start it up. All right, so I had the vehicle running for about a little bit over 5 minutes, and before I shut it off, I actually rechecked the oil levels to make sure that it was at the proper levels. One thing I recommend is that if you're doing your own oil change, this Bronco requires 7 quarts. I purchased 8 quarts. Even though in the video you only seen the 7 quarts, but I have extra in the house. But I always recommend purchasing an extra quart just in case your vehicle requires just a little bit more. Sometimes, manufacturers will say, oh, it requires this much, but you add that much and then it's just a hair short of what it needs to be. So always purchase an extra quart just so you have it to where you don't have to run to the store after the fact or during the process. It's just a hassle at that point, but always buy an extra quart just for that. But that's gonna wrap it up for the actual install of the new oil. The only thing I have to do now is reinstall the shielding and reset the oil life. To reset the oil life, you actually don't have to start the vehicle, but you can if you want to. For this purpose, I'm not going to, just so you guys can hear me. But you want to press on this button right here to get into, all right, yes, I know everything's open. All right, so you want to press this button to get into your actual menu. I'd recommend pressing up to go to settings. You press OK. You go to oil life, you press OK, and you hold OK to reset the oil life. And just like that, it's done. And just like that, the oil change is done. So I just wanted to point out that y'all noticed that I did this oil change without any jacks, any ramps, or anything like that. So for you Sasquatch owners, you can do your oil change in your driveway without having to jack it up or anything like that. But that's the beauty of having a Sasquatch. Another thing I want to note, the oil drain plug that I use, you do not have to use that. You do not have to purchase that. That is a preference that I did just so I don't have to keep replacing the plug itself. But you can use a factory yellow drain plug. Just make sure that you replace it at every oil change. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for today, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you guys have any questions or concerns or comments, please hit me in the comments below. I will also post the link of the actual drain plug that I used in the comments below as well, just in case you guys want to pick one up for yourself. But follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Srtfied_official, and don't forget the hashtag salute and certified drip on all your pictures and videos to show love and support to the channel. And until next time, YouTube, I hope y'all have a good day.